Hi, Leo. Welcome to your April 2021 Astro Update. It's Raina here, and this is going to be a really great time for you, especially the first half of the month, because with the Aries energy that is dominant, this is obviously, since you're a fire sign and Aries is a fire sign, this is very harmonious. This is called a trine, and it flows very nicely. So, as we begin the month, we have the Sun and Venus in this fire sign sister to you. And so, Aries is your ninth house. And it's interesting because the ninth house is a fire house. It's the other fire signs house that rules this, which is Sagittarius. But in your chart, Aries takes up that area. And so everything that Sag and Jupiter, the ruler of Sag, stand for is connected to the ninth house. And that means abstract thought, higher learning, which is what abstract thought is, and it's connected to the university, it's connected to philosophy, to the higher mind in general, and long distance travel. What else? There's so many things that are connected to the ninth house. God, that's a big one. But even just positivity, I think, and luck, with Jupiter. So you have the Sun and Venus there, and then on the third of the month, Mercury goes into Aries. So Mercury is in that ninth house. Now, Mercury can be documents, and so that makes me wonder if some Leo people were planning on traveling long distance somewhere. Maybe now that things are starting to get more fluid and people are going places more, some of you are starting to get the desire to travel, and you're getting your passports or something like that, some paperwork. Perhaps there's something connected to, university, like enrolling, researching to see what you want to major in. And that could even be somebody who's 40 who wants to go back to college. Studying with a guru, anything that has a religious connotation. Ninth house is publishing, so there could be something with Mercury that has to do with writing projects and getting that in print or online nowadays. That's so big too. On the 11th, there's a new moon in this sector, 22 degrees of Aries, and so new developments in these areas. And by the way, with Venus in this house, you may have some kind of romance with somebody from another country, another race, or maybe even religion, but some other kind of background, ethnicity, if you will. There's a sense with the ninth house of expansion, and that includes having a more tolerant mind or curious mind that wants a broad-mindedness. That's the best way of putting it. On the 14th, Venus goes into Taurus. So now we're talking about your career sector, Leo. And Venus in the 10th house is really good for currying favor with those people who are in positions of authority. The 10th house can be authority figures. And if you are looking for a job and you're interviewing, these people may take an interest in you and they may want to help you. Venus can be receiving assistance from people. But money is associated with Venus. So because this is the career sector, you could be getting a raise. turning more of a profit. 10th house is also your public reputation, so you may be more popular at this time. On the 19th, we have two important transits. Mercury going into the 10th house in Taurus, and the same with the Sun. Now, your ruler is the Sun, Leo, so that is an important transit for you when the Sun goes into a new sign and a new house. And so, certainly, this puts you in this prominent place, your day in the sun, your time to shine when it comes to career matters. Mercury here is about communicating with authority figures, maybe speaking in a public way, public speaking of some sort, or your words gaining a lot of recognition from the public, some writing that you're doing. By the way, because there was that ninth house activity, there could be some kind of travel as it relates to your career, and that's why there's this progression here. On the 23rd, Mars goes into Cancer, and Cancer is a sign before you, so this means that Mars is going into your 12th house. So for a good 3 weeks of April, you had Mars in Gemini, which for you is the 11th house, hopes and wishes, as well as friendships and groups. So you may have been doing some serious networking for the first 3 weeks of the month. And also, the 11th house is the internet. So there could have been additional activity in this sector for technology. And networking, if this is something connected to work, certainly maybe very active with a group that you belong to, a club that you belong to. If you have any humanitarian projects, the 11th house is that. And with Mars, it could have been a very passionate type of, thrust in accomplishing goals in this area. But now Mars is in a contemplative area, the 12th house. This is the hermit's house. This is the place of solitude. And it's a place of meditation. And Mars is very active physically, so there's a restlessness when Mars is in the 12th house. You may feel like you're, I was going to say bouncing off the walls. That might be a little bit much in terms of, maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit. But I mean, this is a time for contemplation when you have plants in the 12th house, personal plants, especially, transiting the 12th. But because of the nature of Mars and how active it is, and this is a spiritual house, the 12th house, probably the best thing you could do is Hatha Yoga. And that was actually the intention of Hatha Yoga, was to be a precursor, or kind of like a what do you call it? Like just a I don't know, like a warm up for sitting meditation, because obviously there are a lot of people who are very restless when they're just sitting still, and they have to get that energy out. And there are different poses that can also balance the chakras and help with restlessness and those kinds of feelings, because the 12th house can sometimes be a place where there are vague anxieties, because it's the area of the karmic past, past lives and stuff like that, and therefore repressed memories, And so when you have transits in the 12th house, you can feel like you can't put your finger on things, and whether or not you personally experience that is a different story. I don't want to build that up too much, but I was just explaining how Mars in the 12th can work. Be careful not to sublimate your anger. Mars can be the way we deal with our anger, because the thing is that sometimes this is when people have this in their natal chart, they often have a hard time expressing their anger, and obviously anger comes out regardless. And the other thing with Mars in the 12th house is you may want to work on something behind the scenes, and this could even be related to your career, where you want to showcase something later on, but you don't want to let the cat out of the bag just yet. On the 26th, we have a full moon at 7 degrees of Scorpio. So here's another fixed sign, but in the other direction. So it's ahead of you, and it's going to be at another angular house, the 4th house of home and family. And this is particularly true for early degree Leos because the full moon is at 7 degrees. If you're a later degree, it will likely be in your 3rd house. The 4th house of home and family is also connected to the parents. There's a little bit of controversy about or disagreement which parent. I say the mother, other people say the father, but we'll say the parents or the family of origin. And this can also be your childhood, and full moons can bring you epiphanies related to things that happened a long time ago that maybe are still with you. And some of you Leos, maybe like the vast majority, probably, I mean, that's silly of me to say some, because I was going to say some of you may have personal planets in Cancer, but the vast majority of you will at least have like Mercury, but Venus, Mars, that kind of thing. And the moon can be in any sign, as well as the rising sign can be in any sign. But the reason I say this is because you already can possess some of those tendencies of being sentimental, of being very patriotic. These are 4th house traits. And so Cancer placements, since Cancer rules that house, will be similar to that. The sense of being tied to the past. And that can be nice sometimes, because being sentimental isn't a bad thing. But when there have been traumatic events and you're still stuck in the past, that's when it gets a little bit difficult. And because Leo is a fixed sign, it's easy for Leos to get into ruts. All the fixed signs have this issue where there is this tendency to become fixated on, obsessed with a certain or stubborn about a certain thing. And so in the 4th house, we're talking about our childhoods, and but it can be very cathartic too. If you are in the market of selling your house, this might be the time when that house sells at the end of April. And, with that 9th house activity earlier in the month, that could even be some people moving to a foreign country and selling their house in the place that they're living right now. So for the rest of you, and this will probably be the vast majority of you, this is actually going to fall in your 3rd house. And there's going to be similar themes because the 3rd house can be family members, but instead of the one of the parents, it could be siblings, brothers or sisters. It could be cousins, especially, if you have cousins who you were raised with, who are like your siblings, or aunts and uncles, and sometimes aunts and uncles are like parents in a way. If we were taken care of by them, if the parents had to work or they weren't around for whatever reason, So the full moon here can bring you understanding of them better. But likewise, sometimes the full moon can mean an ending, and that can mean, you know, that you're done with somebody. And even if it's a relative, if they have, pushed you too far, you might just say, I can't deal with them anymore. And if a Leo says that, chances are that person has really pushed them too far, because Leos tend to be very loyal to the people around them that they care about. But the third house can be like your local area, and you may just have this realization that you're done with that neighborhood. Like you've lived there for enough of a time and it's time to move on. Or maybe something has happened that has just soured you on living there, and it makes it easier to release, because of that. So anyway, that's and for some of you, you may be finishing some kind of a course or training course that you were taking. So that's what I have for you, Leo. I hope that resonated. If you would like a private reading, I do a lot of different types of readings. Lately, I've been promoting my double readings because, quite frankly, I I talk a lot as it is, and I prefer doing double readings where I can devote an hour for the natal chart by itself, along with the transits by themselves. It really gives me more time, and I offer it for a special price. So it's called a deep dive reading, and it really I've done quite a few of them recently, and I think that it really is a good value, but it also is for me more satisfying, because I feel like I can really just give more information from how I see, or interpretation from the chart. And if you like the tarot, I have a combination natal chart with transits and tarot reading. They're both full-length readings, and that's also for a discounted price. And that's called the whole enchilada. And I have other types of specialized readings. So the link is below for my online store. I thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a great month. I think this is going to be a good time for you, Leo. Take care. Bye.